If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the team. Wait.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. I say it every day. Smash that like button, retweet button, Hulk smash that thumbs up and subscribe button on YouTube. I'm feeling Hulk smash kind of day coming on. We're less than 24 hours away from the Masters. Oh, I forgot to put my green jacket on. Oh, man. Hold on a second. Man, I don't know if I could do this sitting down. Well, I got the green jacket there. Masters week. I'm still excited. I know we got lots of Philly sports talk, but Jason, I get super excited at Masters week. I'm your host, Phil Stifle. Shoot me a follow. I'm doing the Mark thing at Beard of Knowledge. And my main man, Jason Voorhees, is back in the saddle at Mustang3651. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you? What's on Phil's plate today besides work like me?
Phil's plate today is multiple shows. It's 12 hours at the pizza shop. And it's it's filling out like 30 fantasy lineups for the Masters. That is my plate today.
So you got an absolute jam-packed slate.
Yeah, I have no idea how I'm going to handle today, and then actually fall asleep because it's like Christmas Eve for a kid the day before the Masters. Jason, you're not a golf guy. You don't really understand the excitement level of the Masters. I'm trying to quantify. It's like I guess it'd be like the first day of the playoffs for baseball. Like if the Phillies make the playoffs, that first wild card round, that's the excitement that a super golf fan feels the day before the Masters, because it's the best event. It's the elite of the elite. It's the only event you never see a long shot come from out of nowhere to win. So it's always the elite of the elite winning this golf event. So it's so much fun. But we got plenty of Philly talk to do today. We got to stick to the Philly talk.
Well, real quick, how many Masters has Tiger Woods won?
He has won 5.
Okay. And what's the record?
Jack Nicklaus 6. Jack Nicklaus is the best golfer of all time, but Tiger Woods probably is the most influential golfer of all time. I think he's done more for the game than anybody else. He's brought more fans to the game of golf. He's brought more money to the game of golf. And obviously, we've talked about my leg injury on here before. You know, he almost had his leg amputated from his surgery. The fact that he's back to playing competitive golf 14 months after literally almost losing his leg, almost losing his life, because he almost died in that accident. The fact that he's back in 14 months and playing in the toughest tournament there is to play as his first event, it just shows how strong and determination of a guy that he is. It's insane, and I cannot wait to see it. I was talking on my show last night, and shout out to Ricky Whittier. He was my guest last night, last second fill-in last night on the Fairway to Heaven show, where we broke it all down. And I talked to him. I'm like, I am not betting Tiger Woods this week. I'm not playing him in fantasy golf this week because I just want to be able to watch Tiger Woods on TV and have no money invested in him. I just want to enjoy the fact that the great golfer of Tiger Woods is back after 14 months after that injury. That just be like the poster child of determination and the comeback story right there. So it's
I mean, you said, you know, I'm not really a golf fan, and you're right. I don't know much about the game, but I will say, like, my grandfather, he absolutely adored Tiger Woods. Like, he had like pictures of and my grandfather never did anything like that. Like, he didn't have like, you know, like shrines to people, and he absolutely, like, Tiger Woods was like his, you know, his man. So
I mean,
that just shows me, because I was, like I said, that was the only really, exposure I had to golf was my grandfather, because he loved it. And that's so anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I never had exposure to golf growing up. My dad wasn't a golfer. Nobody in my family was. I got into golf later in college. My roommate played. I worked at a golf event for an internship. So, I really didn't have a lot of exposure growing up to golf. But, man, when 99, 2000, that's when I started getting into golf. That was right when Tiger kind of started. And I'm not saying he's the reason why I got big into golf. Let me tell you, he definitely influenced me to keep going in it. And he's a great influence. And I know he's had his troubles with his wife, his ex-wife, and his relationship dramas and stuff like that. But I mean, the guy's life story, and with his dad, and everything he's gone through in his life. I mean, it's an inspirational story. And the fact that this is, again, he's coming back 14 months after almost dying and is playing in the Masters. I'm just excited to watch him play. I just really am. So I can't wait. I'll have my TV on when he tees off. I'll have my laptop on to masters.com all day. Like, so at the pizza shop tomorrow, I'll have my laptop, the pizza shop TV, maybe even a second laptop, so I can have multiple screens of what's going on. I love it. But again, we gotta get back to Philly sports here, because we got lots of topics to discuss today. Obviously, yesterday's show was pre-recorded with Jason Lee, but before we recorded that show on Monday night, the Eagles had broken a big trade. Howie Roseman made another big move, and we didn't really get too much into it in yesterday's show because we were pre-recording and the news was just coming down when we were recording the show. Obviously, Howie Roseman made another massive trade. And Jason, I wanted to bring up the sheet with the exact trade details, so I didn't mess it up, okay? I wanted to make sure I had the exact details. So I typed into the Google search bar, Eagles draft pick trade, and it came up, but something else came up first by mistake. And I just want to share it because it brought back so many memories of what ifs. And let's see here. This was the trade we made with the Cleveland Browns to get the number 2 pick to get Carson Wentz. This is actually, when you type in Eagles trade, this is the first thing that pops up. Man, we were so excited about this trade. Man, there was so much potential with Carson Wentz. And when I saw this pop up as the first thing, I'm like so pumped about the trade the Eagles made yesterday that this kind of brought me back down because of the almost. Is this not crazy to think back? This was only 5 years ago.
My goodness. Yeah.
I know. You're laughing at it. You're stunned because you don't know how to respond to this either, do you?
Because we thought we were getting a franchise quarterback, and unfortunately, he only
it worked out.
Happened to be a franchise quarterback for one season.
Yeah. Dude, I still can't believe that that's the first thing that pops up when you type in Eagles trade in the Bing.
That's still a great trade, though. Like, yeah, I mean, on paper, it's a great trade on paper. If Carson Wentz turned out, that would have been an unbelievable trade. But obviously, we know how that all worked out, and so do the Colts right now.
Exactly. All right, so let's get to the real crux, the real trade that went down yesterday or on Monday afternoon. Eagles traded with the Saints. We traded pick 16 and 19 and pick 194. What's that, a 5th round pick, I think? We got back the 18th pick, the 101st pick in the 3rd round, the 237, a 1st rounder next year, and a 2nd rounder in 2024. So we basically traded 16 and 19 for 18, 101, a 1st and a 2nd. The 194, the 237, they're just throw in parts of the trade to balance it out. But obviously Howie doing what Howie does, maneuvering before the draft, trying to find the best value he can. We all know, we've talked about it 100 times, that Howie was not drafting 3 picks in the 1st round this year. We all talked about needing that backup plan in case Jalen Hurts is not the guy. We hope he is. I think he is. You think he is. But just in case, you got to have a backup plan. Anybody that runs a business knows you always have to have that alternate, options in case something doesn't work out. I think this is a fantastic trade again, just like last year with the Dolphins. This is Howie doing what Howie does best. Not cap management, but this is Howie maneuvering to get the best possible value in a draft. So instead of having 15, 16, and 19, we got 15 and 18, and another first next year and a second the year after that. It's really what it comes down to, and it's fantastic in my opinion. It's a great trade. Jason, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mind-boggled at the amount of people that I see that are bashing it.
Absolutely, I was going to bring that up next. Yeah,
like honestly, it boggles my mind sometimes when I see some of these people when and I know we talk about overreaction Monday, but like I call this like a knee-jerk reaction. People just either react a certain way and they kind of go either way over the edge, like to either extreme, like either they're super unbelievably thinking that we got we fleeced the Saints,
right,
or it's the other side of it where people are like, that's dumb, why are we trading our first picks, we should have had 3 first rounders, blah blah blah. It's like the bottom line is, and you nailed it, Howie is not a genius when it comes to actually drafting. That's the problem. And I think that's where a lot of these people get pissed off, because they're like, does it really matter if we acquire extra picks in either this year or next year if Howie's the one making the picks? And you know what? I guess there's a little validity to that as far as his recent track record with first rounders besides Devonta Smith. However, you have to look at this as you and I always look at it from the realist point of view. Taking a step back, putting yourself in the shoes of Howie Roseman and why he makes these kind of deals. And it's absolutely obvious why. Everybody in the room knew that we were going to probably trade one of these 3 first rounders to next year. Whether it was the first rounder and a second to get a first rounder next year, a first rounder this year for a first rounder and a second coming back, or whatever combination it was, we were going to make that deal. Well, everyone sees this and they're not looking at it the right way, because that's exactly what we did. But we also it's not like we got the 30th pick this year. We got the 18th pick. So we still have 2 picks in the top 20, which, I mean, to me, that's pretty much like,
there's another aspect of it that people aren't even thinking of. This gives us a lot of ammo for next year, the whole Jalen Hurts part of it aside, but it also gives us extra ammo this year, where we've talked about it. Me and you have talked about it on the show before. Here, let me get this trade graphic off the screen here. We've talked about it before, but there is a scenario where Howie Roseman trades up. Now you've got an extra second-round pick in 2024. You've got an extra third-round pick this year. There's a scenario where you package 15 and 18, or 15, pick 101 and a future second-round pick now, because you have an extra second-round pick. You move up into the top 10. That is a very possibility.
Yeah, you're right. People are not thinking that.
Yeah. I mean, who did I see? I saw on Twitter this morning. I forget who it was. Maybe Sauce Gardner, one of the top cornerbacks.
It's going to go to Gardner.
Is coming today to meet with the Eagles brass. You're not going to get him at 15 if he's their target. Now they've got extra ammo to move up and get him. So this trade doesn't just create great value on the board for next year and the future. It creates great value for now too, because it gives you so many opportunities to really properly shape this team. And again, last year we were all like, why did Howie move from 6 back to 12? And yeah, he picked up an extra first rounder, but blah, blah, blah. But then he went and turned 12 back up and moved up to 10 to get Devonta Smith, beating out the Giants to get Devonta Smith. So it's not over. So I think I put it as one of the headlines on this show. It's in the bio on YouTube and Facebook. Is Howie even done at this point? And the answer is no. Howie is not done at this point. What's up, guys? How we doing here? Thanks for checking in. And
I
Mark,
have a feeling
Sauce is a great football name. Sauce is a fantastic nickname. Gotta love it.
Oh yeah, like I'd like to see a nickname like Old Bay or something. How about that?
I don't know what the hell that even supposed to mean for a football player.
Well,
but yeah,
Wayne,
so Are you right? Am I right in thinking that this isn't the end for Howie? This is just the beginning of the next 2-3 weeks leading up to draft day.
I definitely don't think it's the end. And I mean, we've talked about ad nauseum the fact that this team still needs a veteran wide receiver.
Absolutely.
And I do not see a scenario where we get a veteran wide receiver without trading. Mm-hmm. So my point is, I think Howie, like you said, he likes to keep his options open and have multiple options. Like, I don't think he has a set plan. I think he has certain guys that he's looking at, obviously in this year's draft. Obviously looking for, versatility in next year's draft to be able to, have options there if the quarterback thing doesn't work. Because listen, they're not saying it. They're not going to come out and say it, but all their actions point to the fact that they obviously are still not 100% in on Jay. And that's okay. Yeah. And that's fine. They shouldn't be 100% in on a quarterback. Like, this is where I get frustrated. People bash them because why did they sign Carson Wentz to that contract after the injury? They have the Carson Wentz situation happen, and now they want them to commit to Jalen because they think, well, listen.
I saw the thing with Jalen Hurts that annoys me is there's no like, everybody's got blinders on. They're either like, he's worst, he's never going to succeed, just move on from him right now. Or there's people that I saw on social media, people posting yesterday that Jalen Hurts should request a trade right now because the Eagles are obviously not committed. What else does he have to do? Look, everybody knows me and you are Jalen Hurts supporters, but we're not blind to the fact that he's not perfect as a quarterback yet. So, why can't they, I own a business. I'm always thinking 3 months ahead, 2 months ahead, 3 years ahead. I'm always thinking big picture with my business. I'm thinking today, how am I going to make money today? But I'm not going to sacrifice money today. Or I'm not going to, sacrifice money in the future just to make $2 extra today. So, Howie Roseman's the GM for he's seeing the future. He's seeing different paths. He's seeing the timeline, like Back to the Future breaking off in different directions. And he's trying to, see, well, if A works, that's great. But if not, I need to have a plan for the other timeline here. So you can be a fan or anti a guy, but don't have total blinders on, because why would Jalen Hurts request a trade? How could Jalen Hurts even request?
Well, this is the thing that they're missing, and this just shows you that they don't even know Jalen Hurts. Because if they actually knew what he was, they would realize that this isn't going to bother him. Right. Like, if there's anybody that could deal with this kind of situation, it's definitely Jalen Hurts. Like, 100%. The guy is like almost like, I don't want to say bulletproof, but his psyche is so much on the other level than Carson Wentz. It's not even funny. Like, it's like polar opposites. Carson Wentz was soft. Jalen Hurts is basically the man when it comes to his ego. I don't want to say he's like egotistical, but he's confident.
He's got a swagger.
Exactly. He's confident in his own ability. Yeah. He knows that regardless of the fact, even if the Eagles draft a quarterback, in his mind, he's competing to be the starting quarterback of this team. And that's what he's worried about. Listen, there's going to be people that, you're going to be in jobs when other jobs hire somebody else. Like, that's part of business. Like, so you're right. It's blinders because, he should request a trade. Why? Because they didn't sign him to a long-term deal yet? No. They're not going to do that after they just had an absolute debacle of a situation with Carson Wentz. Like, you just don't do that. It's not smart business. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is. People forget. It's a sport and it's for our entertainment as fans, but it's a business.
Yeah,
absolutely. And at the end of the day, acquiring more assets is a plus. So anybody that's against this trade is either not really looking at it from a rational lens.
You want another thing that people are ignoring of the fact too, and actually I put it out there. There must have been some New Orleans Saints, trolls or bots that got at me. The Saints aren't going to be a good football team next year.
No.
The moving on from Sean Payton, that's not good. They did not. I mean, Jameis Winston. I'm a Winston hater. I am. I can't deny it. So maybe I got blinders on there. But that's just because he went to Florida State, and I hate Florida State. he's coming off of a season-ending injury. They're going to be okay at best. That pick we just got, so we traded 16 and 19 for 18 and their pick next year. I'm guaranteeing, at worst, that pick will be 16 or 18. At worst.
I think it'll be a top 10.
It might be. There's a chance it's a top 10 pick next year.
And if it is, and then we finish in the middle, then we have the 10th pick and may say be the 18th or 19th again. All of a sudden, you have the ammo to get the quarterback next year if that's what you want to do.
And if not,
if Jalen Hurts is good, exactly.
Then you have the ammo to get that wide receiver next year.
Exactly.
Because let me tell you something. Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill set a new precedent. Now, how long this precedent will last, how long teams will start investing heavily in wide receivers, I don't know. I think it'll bottom out kind of like the running back market did at one point there, in the draft and with money. At some point, teams are going to realize you can't trade multiple first-round picks and hundreds of millions of salary cap dollars for a wide receiver. You just can't. I mean, it might get you a Super Bowl, but then after that, you're going to be kind of screwed. But if we're ready with Jalen Hurts after next year, then you've got the ammo to go get whoever the next – because this year we've already had 2 big-name wide receivers go. DK Metcalf may or may not go this year. A.J. Brown, there's been some rumors. The GM of the Titans did come out and say, no, we're not trading him. I think that's more of a negotiating tactic there than anything else. If nobody else gets traded this year, DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown will be on the market next year. 2 more major big-name wide receivers. You got the ammo to go get them. There's so much that this brings into the equation. Again, as Mark, me, and you have said on this show 100 times, it's chess, not checkers. It's, these draft picks are pawns for Howie Roseman, and utilizing them the right way. He's not just sacrificing them.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I will say that it's still a very important draft, and it's important that Howie does hit on these picks.
Absolutely.
That's and not that it wouldn't be any other time. I mean, even if it was only 1 pick, but he needs to show like I said, a lot of people, the people that are detractors of Howie tend to be ultra focused on the criminal misses. And I get that. I understand that. I do, because we all understand it when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, kind of slip through the cracks, and you not only do you let him go, but you drafted Jalen Reagor. I mean, had you drafted a guy like T. Higgins instead of Justin Jefferson, maybe it would lessen the blow. Right. That's the problem. Like, it's almost like it's so bad that
we've been on that before. It's not even like he's missed that many times. He's just missed 2 or 3 times.
Was that and the J-Jaw were bad ones. And now
so bad.
Exactly.
They're magnified over his he's at worst he's an average drafter.
Well,
he's still an average drafter.
But every time that those detractors come at me, you have to kind of go back with it. Well, what about Jordan Mailata? Because if you're going to say that Justin Jefferson was a criminal miss in a negative, then you have to say that Jordan Mailata was a criminal hit. Well, not criminal, but was a hit in the opposite direction. Like, you got him in a 7th round, and he's basically a franchise tackle. I mean, hello, you got to give the guy credit. And listen,
and Howie was able to lock him up to a pretty team-friendly, contract, because he just signed in the middle of the season. What was it, like 4 years, $60 million? Left tackles that are all pro level don't make $64 million in 4 years. They make $100 million. So again, Howie Roseman playing chess, not checkers. Hell, you know what? I want to keep going on this draft topic for a little bit, this trade. So I'm going to bring up. We're not going to go through a whole mock trade or mock draft, but I want to bring up the mock board here, and I just want to look at how the first round now plays out. Now we have 15 and 18, and where guys are going in those top 15 picks. Because again, like we said, Sauce Gardner coming to Philly to meet with Howie and stuff like that, and Nick Sirianni. I want to kind of get a better idea. I think this trade or this draft board, it's going to shake out a lot different than people think. And I actually said this on a show like a month or 2 ago, that the quarterback market is being bashed as being a really weak quarterback class this year, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, and all, maybe it's not as bad as people think. But even if it's as bad as people think, the thing with it is teams are still going to draft quarterbacks early. You know, nobody thinks Malik Willis is the 6th pick in the draft, but he could easily go to the Carolina Panthers there. The Texans could easily take a quarterback. Hell, Detroit could take a quarterback. Seattle could take a quarterback. You know, you got the Texans again at 13. Again, you got Pittsburgh, who's at 20. I was messing around with mock drafts the other day, and I was mocking Pittsburgh trading from 20 up to 18 with us, and we picking up more assets because the Saints need a quarterback. So maybe they find a way to, well, now with them at 16, they would have to trade from 20 up to 15 with us. So then maybe you get 18 and 20. That there's so many opportunities here, and it's because, let's be honest, quarterbacks, none of these quarterbacks are quote-unquote first-round talents. None of them are number one overall talented quarterbacks, but it's a quarterback-driven league. Teams are going to reach for quarterbacks, and there's 4 or 5 teams that need a quarterback. So they're going to reach. So I think that's going to make things change a bit come draft day, and that's why Howie makes trades. But let's just slowly look at this and how it plays out. So you got Trayvon. Whoa, this is totally out of control. See, we're just going to stop right there. First on, Trayvon Walker is not going over 8 in English, but Malik Willis going number 2 to Detroit right off the bat. That's how some of these names are going to fall in the draft to us. And when we're at 15, you know, see, hold on, we'll pause right there. Sauce Gardner, 7th in the draft to New York Giants. That's something that worries me. You know, how much would it take if he goes 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 15 and what will it take to get him? So that's going to be a tough one right there. It's going to be tough to commit that kind of draft capital to move up to get Sauce Gardner. So you play this out this first round here. Surprisingly, only the one quarterback went. But it leaves us at 15.
Holy crap. Hutchinson?
Yeah, this is an awful mock draft.
There's no way that Hutchinson drops to 14. Absolutely
not at all.
0.
Yeah, there's literally no way. And Thibodeau is not going. Well, I mean, Thibodeau will go 3rd or 4th, but there's no way Hutchinson. But still, Karlaftis, you get your edge rusher. You could call Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh likes Kenny Pickett. You could call right now Pittsburgh and be like, oh, Kenny Pickett's on the board. The Saints are at 16. They might take him.
Damn it, Jameson went.
Yeah, Jameson went.
I wanted him.
Let's see what other wide receivers. You still got Chris Olave. You can get him at 18. You know, you got Stingley, the 2nd best cornerback on the board. You got Karlaftis, who we talked about very early in the offseason. That's a Howie type pick because he's a analytics dream. Doesn't have the stats, but has the motor, as they call it. Still got Devin Lloyd all the way to 22.
He's Derek Barnett all over again.
He basically is. But anyway, I just wanted to see how this played out. Let's see what trade offers. None of them are with Washington. Let's see if I can propose a trade with Washington here or with Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh and us next. I want to give them 15 so they can get a quarterback. I'll take 20. Can you get another first-round pick next year for that? I don't know. I mean, that's not going to be enough. Maybe we give them 101. I don't know. I'm just messing around here. So we take a 200th round pick or a 200th spot pick, give up that 101. We get 20 and another first next year. Yeah, it was declined. I figured that would be declined. Let's try this again here real quick. We're not going to spend too much more time trying because I don't know how this really works here. 20 and a second next year, and maybe like 208, something like that. I don't know. Let's see. No, that's still not enough. Yeah, I don't know how that plays out, but let's see. What are they offering? So 33, 50, 40 and a second round this year and a first next year.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I mean, you could give up, another first round pick up pick 40 in the second round, have a third first round pick next year, and another second round pick next year.
Jeez.
I mean, so there is some value in that. I was just curious how it plays. Whatever. I don't even care how the draft plays out. I just want to see, how this. See, Kenny Pickett went. Just look at that. What did I just say? Trade with Pittsburgh for that 16th pick or that 15th pick. Kenny Pickett went 16 right away.
Who did they have us take?
I just picked Karlaftis. I didn't care. I could have put anybody in there. It didn't matter. I was just trying to move on with the draft. And then you could go with your wide receiver with 18. So right there, you're good to go. Now Pittsburgh Pittsburgh took another quarterback there at 20. You've now seen 3 quarterbacks in the top 20 go in a non-quarterback league or year. It's because quarterbacks always win out. So Howie's just really done a great job at giving us a lot of options. And honestly, come draft day, this is just a mock draft board. They have like algorithms. They can't accept the trade that their algorithm doesn't say is fair. Pittsburgh really wants one of those quarterbacks and thinks New Orleans is taking them. They're going to trade up to 15. We're going to get 20. We'll end up with 18 and 20. And then all of a sudden, it's a whole different ballgame because you're going to get more draft capital with that. So I think it's really interesting how it plays out. But this trade has opened up a boatload of windows for Howie Roseman.
But yet people are pissed off.
I know. Hell, you know what? We've got an extra 3rd-round pick now because of this trade. I'm calling the Atlanta Falcons right now. Do you want pick 101, that extra 3rd-round pick we just got for Calvin Ridley? He's going to be sitting on your bench the whole year. Maybe he comes back midseason. I know he's suspended. I think he would have gone for a late 1st, early 2nd before the suspension. I wonder if Atlanta would take pick 101 for Calvin Ridley right now.
I think Calvin Ridley's still their target. I really do. I have like this very sneaky
this year or next year.
Howie knows, and I think we're going to get him for cheaper. Obviously now because
I think you could get him for cheaper than what we could, but would you break the bank and just give I originally thought when the suspension came down, offer a 4th or 5th round pick, but you got an extra 3rd round pick.
I would break the bank. Yeah, exactly. You got it now, dude. I would even give a 2nd. It's Calvin Ridley.
I know.
I'm at the point now,
and obviously they're planning for 2023 in the future. They're building a foundation, and I still will go to bat saying I'm okay that he got suspended for a year because of what he did, but because of it's not being equal to some of the other suspensions that get given out, I still say he appeals that suspension at some point, and I see that suspension being dropped. It's not going to be a full 17 games. It's probably going to fall somewhere in that 8 to 12 games. So hell, if it falls to 10-game suspension, come week 11 for the second half of the season, you add Calvin Ridley into the equation.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Then you could go draft 2 first-round defensive players.
I know a lot of people are down on it, at this point. But I'm telling you, I think I really believe that is their main target. Because they haven't really been linked to anybody else. I don't like. Yeah, the DK Metcalf rumor. Listen, would I rather have DK Metcalf? Absolutely. I think DK Metcalf probably is my number 1 target, only because not only just because of his size, but he's a little younger and he doesn't have the baggage that Calvin Ridley has. But they're both great. Let's face it. They're both better than any guy that we have on our roster. So I would definitely do that. AJ Brown to me is intriguing. But I don't think
look at his contract situation.
I'm seeing all these rumors, but I don't see it. I don't see a reason why Tennessee would want to get rid of him.
They're a Super Bowl contender right now.
I mean, AJ Brown to me is dude. Just last year he was the number 1 fantasy wide receiver in Dynasty.
Hey, Green Bay is a playoff contender. Kansas City's a Super Bowl contender. They just got rid of their big names too, though. So I would have to look up the contract situation there to really, really truly figure that one out.
Yeah, and maybe teams you talked about setting a precedent, but maybe teams are starting to realize we don't need that $300 or we don't need that $100 million wide receiver when their wide receivers are bountiful in the league. We could just draft one and maybe get near the same production as what we have. Now, I don't agree with that because Devontae Adams to me is the creme de la creme, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be screwed. I don't know who he's throwing to because Scantling left. The only guy he's got left is Lazard. So he better hope that Lazard takes a huge step forward.
Do you have your cleats cleaned off? You ready to go run some routes for Aaron Rodgers?
I would run for Aaron Rodgers all day, man. I guarantee
he wouldn't run very fast.
I guarantee he'd get me the ball, though. I might not catch it.
I'd be able to catch it. I just wouldn't be able to run. It'd be like 10 seconds, 10 step drop, and I'd be 3 yards up the field after 10 steps. So yeah, that would be the problem. We're gonna take a quick pause in the show, real quick. Hang in there. We got a great second half of the show coming up. We'll be right back. What's up, everybody? Phil Stiefel here. Trending in the AM. Look at this site right here, 99jersey.com. Proud supporter of all Trending in the AM shows. Make sure you check them out. Like I said, 99jersey.com. They have the best jerseys of all your favorite athletes from high school, college, movies, TV shows. You got the Kobe Bryant, Lower Merion, the Charlie Conway, Mighty Ducks. Everybody always asks where I got my Sugar Shane Falco jersey back there from the Replacements movie. 99jersey.com. I mean, Magic Johnson, Michigan State, Lonzo Ball, Jalen Rose, you name it, Russell Westbrook, you name it, they've got it on this site. Make sure you check them out, 99jersey.com. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It gets you 15% off right away. 99jersey.com, promo code TRENDING. Yo, support the podcast that brings you the heat every single morning. All right, and we're back here at Trending in the AM. I am Phil Stiefel, your host with Jason Voorhees. We talked Eagles, talked the big trade. We got to move on because we got two more topics in 25 minutes here to cover. Got to start with Sixers last night. Victory over the Indiana Pacers, 131-122. Again, another third quarter debacle for the Sixers. Blew a big lead. They were up like, I don't know, I was prepping for the golf show. What were they up, 25, 30 at one point?
26.
26. The lead got cut big time in the third quarter again. They ended up winning. But you know what? I meant to do it. I'm going to do it as you're talking here, hopefully. But another massive performance from Joel Embiid last night. 45 and 13. The team shot lights out from deep. Tyrese Maxey, 8 of 11 from 3. Tobias Harris, 5 of 6. George Niang, 3 for 4. That's pretty damn good right there. Everything we've been hoping for. They're starting to turn that corner shooting-wise. And they faced their adversity, like we talked about. And now, so they faced their adversity. Now they have this easy part of the schedule to close it out where maybe all of a sudden, maybe they're going to start clicking here with 3 games left to play and head into the playoffs, right like we talked about on this show 100 times. Maybe it's just clicking all perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, Mark actually mentioned that, and I had said, that it was good to battle adversity and have, a little bit of a, struggle. And I think you're seeing it now. Listen, these teams that they're beating aren't, world beaters. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, a win is a win.
Win's a win's a win.
You struggle, I get it. That's still a concern. Their inability to lock up games as far as when they're up by huge massive numbers. But what I like about what's going on right now at the Sixers is that Embiid seems to have found his first gear again, because I think Embiid was and I think it's more so because I agree. I think he's a little bit banged up, and I think he's tired. I mean, he's played more this year than he's ever played. And obviously, for long stretches of time, he had to carry this team on his back. That takes a lot of energy. But I think Embiid's finding his way. And once again, Tyrese Maxey, who all of a sudden, a lot of people were like, oh, he's having, a little bit of a slump. He comes back with a big game. And that's going to happen. Listen, growing pains are going to happen with young guys. I like the fact that the other guys are stepping up, because James Harden has kind of hit his wall. We're seeing it. I mean, he only scored 11 points. Now, listen, the Sixers don't need Embiid and Harden to fire at all cylinders to win. We've already talked about the fact that bringing in Harden helps the Sixers in more ways than just the actual production that he puts up on the court. It's the ability to take away the double team. And if either or of those guys can have their way in a certain game, the Sixers are going to be good. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. It doesn't have to be Embiid 45, Harden 29. If you have Maxey giving you 30 and Tobias coming back with close to 20.
Right.
The problem that we were seeing is that, we weren't having these other guys step up. when there was a struggle. And that's part of, obviously, as you've mentioned numerous times, the ancillary pieces not being there and not having the bench to be able to supplement, when needed. So, like I said, I've been saying be patient. I'm still saying that, yes, there is still a concern, but you're starting to see.
So anyway, I was looking it up. And I was trying to see if another 45, because the last time, a couple days ago when Joel had a 40-plus point performance, his MVP odds got worse. And while you're talking, I was looking it up. His MVP odds got better, but Nikolai Jokic, so he went from plus 250 down to plus 220. But Nikolai Jokic went from minus 220 to minus 350. So his odds, so while they're appeasing Sixers fans by making Embiid's odds a little lower like that,
they made Jokic's better.
So really, in theory, if you break the odds down, he did not get better last night after that big performance. It actually got worse if you really think about it. But I was checking Twitter here as you were talking also, and Scotty's got a show. His next Scotty Talks NBA's 10 a.m. right here on DSM Media, and his headline promoting it is, y'all worried about James Harden, and his shooting, but James Harden's kind of slowly turning into the older veteran Chris Paul. Chris Paul used to be a scorer and a true point guard, but right now Chris Paul, all he really does is floor general. That's what he is. He doesn't put up 30 points a game very often anymore. That's kind of what James Harden is. And, Chris Paul's got Devontae Booker. James Harden has got Joel Embiid. You've got your guy that's going to go get the buckets. They have an off night. You could go get 15 shots if you need to. But maybe James Harden doesn't need to be a 25, 30-point scorer. As long as he's leading that. I mean, for as bad as James Harden's playing, guess what? He still led the team in minutes last night. We keep saying he's banged up. He played 40 minutes last night. Yeah, he shot bad from three. Actually only got to the free throw line twice, which is a massive surprise. But he still was on that floor leading this team the entire time. And I think Scotty might be onto something right there with the fact that Chris Paul, as he got older, as he got banged up a little bit more from the years and years of NBA play, kind of evolved his game, where Chris Paul was always a great point guard. Chris Paul is now point guards aren't what Chris Paul are right now, floor generals. Point guards just want to shoot the ball, and that's all they do. And maybe James Harden has he's played with Chris Paul before. I don't know how friendly they are, but he sees what Chris Paul does. Maybe he's taking a page out of Chris Paul's book and kind of tweaking what he thinks is important, because he, like we talked about, he doesn't want to be the go-to scorer anymore. That's not who he wants to be. He wants to preserve that body for as long as he can.
He doesn't have to be when you have a need. And like I said, Maxey, I think Maxey's growth that was not expected by many. I can't say me, because I did expect it. I thought he was going to be a superstar from day one. Thank you. But
do you want to self high five on that one?
Maxey has basically come into his own a lot sooner than everybody thought. And that helps this team's trajectory, because I think bringing in Harden, we all know Harden can still shoot, but he doesn't have to be successful at every game. And it just proves it. A game like last night proves that he does a lot more on the court than just the stats. People look at stat lines, especially in basketball, and a lot of times it's very deceiving, because you can't really quantify how a player is helping a team. And regardless of the situation that the Sixers did go through a little lull, and like I said, I think that was a good thing that happened, and I think you agree, and I think we all agree.
Yeah,
that helps teams in the reality in the long run, because if they didn't have that, how would they respond if that happened in the playoffs? At least now you know that they can show a little bit of fight after struggling. James Harden is not just putting up numbers on the court; it's what he's doing as a leader in that room.
Yeah,
and I'm impressed. I got to be honest with you, because I didn't even believe that Harden was that much of a leader. We always heard that he was a diva.
Because you heard the national narrative. Like you see what the national media talks poorly about the Sixers in the process all the time, and Joel Embiid. You put Joel Embiid on another team, that city itself would learn, hold on a second, maybe the national narrative is wrong. The national narrative isn't always right. And the James Harden national narrative wasn't right. I want to point out a couple other things about what's been going on with the Sixers and the team. I want to point out the fact that I think what you see last night is basically how the bench will shake out come playoff time. Shake Milton played 20 minutes. Matisse only played 20 last night. Danny Green 20. Some nights Matisse will play 30 and Danny Green will play 10 or 12. George Niang at 18 minutes, perfect. DeAndre Jordan only 9. He didn't play last night, but Doc Rivers most games now is kind of doing what I've been saying all along about Furkan. He's throwing him out there for 5 minutes. If he's got his shot, he's leaving him in there for a few more minutes. If he doesn't have his shot, he pulls him out and you don't see him the rest of the game. And I really like that Doc's starting to do that occasionally. I think come playoff time, he won't have to do that because of the minutes the starters will play. But I think you're starting to see how this rotation is going to play out because you're going to see Harden at 40 minutes. You're going to see Maxey and Embiid 38, 39 minutes. You're going to see Tobias play 40 minutes come playoff time. And you don't need your bench to do too much more. I think Shake Milton has finally solidified himself where come off season, maybe we need to upgrade Shake Milton. But I think he's kind of solidified himself that you can at least trust him for 15 to 18 minutes off the bench now, come playoff time, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And I really think that he's slowly getting healthy and slowly getting his legs under him. So, I think this game last night in the minutes on the box score, outside of Matisse, where Matisse falls that game, whether he plays 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on the matchup. That's how you're gonna see the offseason or the playoffs shake out. And I think it's good enough, hopefully, for a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on to something there. They absolutely have a shot. I mean, listen, we got some tough teams. The Bucks. I mean, I think the Nets have definitely improved. But how about the news that Simmons will not play the rest of the year? I mean, who didn't see that coming?
Who knew that wasn't coming?
I mean, come on, like,
what the hell is wrong with people?
And they act like it's big news, like breaking news, like Ben Simmons will not play.
Do you think Brooklyn regrets that trade?
Oh yeah.
Even though James Harden wanted out, you think they regret that trade?
Yeah. Come on, man. They got to be thinking to themselves, what do we do? What do we get ourselves into with this clown? Like, I mean, I'm telling you, dude. Now he's suing the Sixers. Like, it's just a joke. I am so glad that guy is gone. Like, talk about like a situation just 2 months ago that we were like, oh.
So we get rid of that situation, but now we got the other situation. Yesterday it was dropping that Doc Rivers might be going to LA after the season. Did you even see that?
I didn't see it.
I know, but 3 games from the playoffs starting, and now we've already been talking that Sam Cassell, Mike D'Antoni. I put out a tweet there, a tweet out there earlier in the week. God forbid if Mike D'Antoni's the guy that comes here because he's attached to the hip with Daryl Morey just like James Harden is, and Mike D'Antoni's not the answer either, guys. Then all of a sudden these rumors come out that the Lakers are interested, and I forget somebody else is interested in bringing in Doc Rivers if he was to be quote unquote let go in the offseason.
Oh man,
I mean, do we really need more controversy?
There's always.
We're literally 3 games away. Saturday's the end of the regular season for us, or Sunday. The playoffs start next week. The play-in rounds start in the middle of the week, and then the weekend next week is when the playoffs actually start. Come on, guys. Do we really need that? Now, sure, if Doc Rivers wants to go back to L.A., peace out, get out of town, and promote Sam Cassell. That would be my thing. Hell, let him go now to L.A., and let's just promote Sam Cassell right now. Sure, why not? Crazier things have happened, but, man, do we really need more of this? Do we?
I can't take it, dude. I can't, man. It's like drama just finds its way onto the Sixers, like regardless of the year. Hopefully that kind of just goes to the wayside. But
yeah, I don't even know. All right, let's get on this. So Sixers play tomorrow night again. We'll get into that tomorrow. We'll preview that game, but we'll talk a little bit more Sixers tomorrow. But I mean, I just don't. I gotta get positive. I gotta get back to the positives right now.
Billy,
we're all about sharing the screen. today. I'm sharing lots of graphics today. All right. Phillies have announced their opening day roster. It's a little bit bigger because they're expanding the rosters to 28 for the month of April because of the shortened offseason. Here it is. Honestly, this is there's not one surprise. With 28 roster spots, there is not one surprise on this list in my mind, right? Right?
No, I was a little nervous about Stott, but I think his camp, it was almost impossible not to bring him up.
Exactly.
I'm very happy. I like the balance on this team, as far as veterans to youth. Because you got Vierling and Moniak, you got Stott, you got Ranger Suarez, and you got a couple of the guys in the bullpen that are younger. So you got a good amount of young guys, but you have the veteran presence, and I like that. I think it's great for.
I saw Stott even play. We know he's played 4 or 5 games at third base now, and a lot of people are saying play him at third base instead of Alec Bohm, but he started 2 games ago, I believe it was, at second base. So they're really trying to find any way possible to get his bat into the lineup on opening day. Now, personally, I would start him. I would start Mickey Moniak on opening day. I would start Stott at third base if you have to, Mickey Moniak in center field, and I would just leave them both there. Now, the Phillies are probably going to, platoon Moniak and Vierling at first. I understand that's what they'll do because that's Joe Girardi. Just like Doc Rivers might be the biggest thing that holds the Sixers back, Joe Girardi might be the biggest thing that holds the Phillies team back because he's just as stubborn. He's just like Doc Rivers. He's an old head. You know what I mean? He goes the old way, and he'll say Moniak and Vierling haven't earned it, so he'll platoon them. But you can hurt those young kids. I fear that that's what they're going to do with Bowman and Stott as well, and I fear that. I want Bowman in the lineup every single day, or Stott in the lineup every single day. But I also, and some people said that maybe it was a different situation, and to not to not compare them. I fear that if Stott's a shortstop, that's what he came up as. That's what he was supposed to be. That's why he's one of our top-ranked prospects. We had a top-ranked prospect in Scotty Kingery at second base. We bring him up. We sign him to a big deal before he hits arbitration. We start putting him at second. We part third, short, center field, left field, right field. We start bouncing him all over the field. And all of a sudden, him learning all these new positions. Where's Scott Kingery right now? Where is he?
Scott Kingery still in the minors?
They already demoted him 2 weeks ago to minor league camp. He didn't even make it to the last week of training camp or spring training. He was demoted 10, 12 days ago.
Talk about an awful contract.
Right,
but it's one of the worst.
But if he works out, it's a great contract. And the thing is, first off, to backtrack, the Braves kind of set a precedent when they gave Acuna and all these guys, they're young guys, deals before they hit free agency, before they even hit arbitration, to save money for the team.
Yeah, but I have to cut in there.
Okay,
Acuna is a generational talent. Scott Kingery was a 5th-round pick that just happened to do well in the minor leagues, and
also the size of the contracts were different too. Like Acuna signed like an $80 million deal, which if you would have waited 2 years would have been like $300. And Kingery was like $25 million or something like that. But it was the precedent of when you have a young guy, lock them up early so that you save money big picture down the line. It gives them some stability, financial stability for the player. But I still will to this day will say, partially the Kapler launch angle analytics, partly the playing him in 19 different positions on the field may have screwed him up a little bit. And I worry about that with Stott. Now, Stott's a little bit closer to that. He's not an Acuna generational talent yet either, but he's closer than Scott Kingery was. So we're hoping that pure talent takes over there. But I worry about it.
I absolutely worry too. But I will say, and I've mentioned it, that the Phillies are in a better position now than when they brought up Kingery. Yeah. They've moved on from, obviously, Clentak and McPhail are gone. They were 2 of the biggest problems in this organization because it was it starts at the top, and the philosophy of this organization was totally flawed.
Right.
Like, they didn't have the right people in their development and scouting department. And if you look, it's not a coincidence that all of a sudden those guys are gone. They hired a couple new guys in the minors, and all of a sudden Stott and Bohm are on this roster. Something changed, and I think you're seeing it for the positive change. Now, I agree. Does it make sense to start moving someone around in their position when, their whole life they've been a shortstop? Probably not. But right now, where they're at on their roster, there's not really many options to do. And the option I would do would be to sit Didi and start Stott at short. Use Didi off the bench. That's what they should do. But I know Girardi's not going to do it. And that kind of annoys me. So for that reason, I think it's a little bit different going, though, from short to third. It's pretty much, I'm not saying similar, but that's an easier move than going short to second. I would not have Stott at second base.
And I didn't see that game. It wasn't one of the televised games, so I don't know how he looked in the field. I mean, if he didn't, some people say, well, he didn't commit an error, or he made a play, whatever. No. You got to see the eye test. You got to see how he moves side to side, and the release angle on the throw from second to short it's much different. I'm not.
I guess my hope is the same as yours. My hope is the same as yours, that they don't bring these kids up and then not play them, because that's not going to help their development. Like, if you're bringing these guys up and they're number one picks, they legitimately should be starting. Boom. I mean, Stott and Moniak should be starting.
Right.
Boom. I understand if he's not starting right now because he's struggled.
Right.
But I do think that there's something to be said. Like, I know in the beginning of the year, I was saying send him back down to the minors, but I think Bohm is still a raw enough talent that he can turn the corner here. A lot of times, like I said, in spring, you can't just focus on, he struggled. Like, Matt Vierling struggled, but Matt Vierling could all of a sudden turn around and be better than Moniak. Like, that's baseball. Baseball's a game of streaks. Baseball's a game of, slumps and coming out of slumps. So I'm not really concerned. I just don't want to get in the part where they end up, every other day it's Vierling and then Moniak. Because then there's no rhythm. There's got to be some kind of rhythm. And I agree, in the beginning of the season, if you want to see who does better and who wins out, that's fine. It's sort of like an extended spring training, since spring training was actually shortened anyway. I'm okay with that. But I don't want it to go long-term into this summer and you're still having every other day platoon on all those guys, because that's not going to help them. I'd rather them play.
I mean, a lot of people talked about Bohm or getting some of these guys in the DH role. But unfortunately, now that you have Schwarber and Castellanos, you really don't have the DH role available for Bohm or for Stott or for any of these other guys. Because you need to play both Schwarber and Castellanos every day.
Unless Harper plays some center field, which it's not out of the realm. I'm saying if you wanted to.
But who's playing right field then? Who's playing right field?
Well, Schwarber.
Has Schwarber. I know. I thought you were going to say Castellanos, and I know Castellanos hasn't played right field. I don't know. Can Schwarber play? I don't know if I can find this really fast or not. I want to see his positional thing. I just brought up his baseball reference sheet here. Where are positions? Let's see here. His position by position thing. Game started.
Probably not.
Appearances. He's got his rookie year. He played 4 games in right field. So far in his career, he's played in 664 games. Kyle Schwarber, 664 games. 548 of them are in left field. 45 DH, 59 pinch hitter, 11 first base, 26 as a catcher. So he hasn't done it.
The only other move would be...
I'm pretty sure Castellanos hasn't either. I'm going to look that up real quick.
The only other move would be play Castellanos at third. And then
you've got Bohm and Stott to figure out.
Well, DH Stott. Bohm will have to get out of his slump. He'll play when he plays. I'm just saying there are options. I'd rather have more options than not enough, right?
Surprisingly, Nick Castellanos has played only 20 games in left field in his career. He's played 527 games at third base, 20 at left field, and 493 in right field. So I guess hypothetically speaking, you could put Harper in center, Castellanos in right, Schwarber in left, and then you can get Stott at third base, Bohm at DH. I guess you could do that. I guess that's it. But I know what you're saying about Bryce Harper in center field, and I want to vaguely say I remember him saying he doesn't like doing it. He's the kind of guy. He's the team player. He'll do whatever the team needs him. Let's see. He's got 187 games in center field. He did not play center field once last year. Played it 3 times in 2020, none in 19. Back in 18 in Washington, he did 63 center field games. 13 in 2015, 7, 9, 92 his rookie year. That was his most played position. His rookie year was center field, actually. So he does have the precedent to play in center field. I just think I don't remember when, but I want to say he said he doesn't like the position. So he doesn't feel comfortable out there.
Like I said, I think it's good to have more options than not enough. Like at least you have the ability tier 2 down the line, like I said, make a trade. I think Didi ultimately will get traded if he has any value. I mean, I don't think you'll get a lot for him, but I think the plan is to bring these kids up, see if they can play well or semi well in an extended time period. They move from Didi because, dude, you have to infuse the youth.
Play. That's why I want to send Bohm down. You send Bohm down to AAA, or AA. You get his head right. Whether then all of a sudden somebody wants to trade for him or not, but then you let Didi hit 280, hit a few home runs, show that he's still a viable player, and then somebody trades for Didi, and then you bring Bohm back up, put him at third, put Stott where he belongs at shortstop. And then you solve the problem there.
I think Didi is a better bench player anyway. I would start Stott and Bohm, honestly. I would. But
some games you might see that. The problem is you're going to see some games of Bohm and Stott, some games of Bohm and Didi, and some games of Stott and Didi. And that's too much rotation, and that's too much no time to get into a rhythm. And that's the problem. You need these young kids to get in a rhythm. I hate platoons with young kids.
We both agree.
I hate them. You need to play every day when you're 23, 24 years old. Kids don't know how to handle. When you're 23 years old and you get called up, you've been the best at every level. Growing up in high school, college, if you played college, in single and double A, you're the best on your team. You're playing every day. You don't know how to come up and be a rotational guy. If you're 30, you've been in the bigs for 8 years, you've learned how to adjust and be ready whenever you're called upon. But when you're 23, you haven't figured that out yet.
I agree.
Some can handle it, some can't handle it.
I mean, we're on the same page here, Phil. I couldn't, agree more, right?
All right. Well, I'm super excited.
I'm excited that they made the roster. Like, let's put it that way. I'm excited.
Let's close with this question because we're already in overtime here. If they don't expand it to 28, which 2 would have gotten cut, you think? Not cut, but demoted, if you want to call it. You're going to go to Vierling over Moniak.
And I believe Bohm, probably.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you on Bohm. And hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Maybe both Vierling and Moniak, because you normally run with 5 outfielders. And no one on our bench could handle it.
So then it would be Bohm and maybe
they would have been forced to trade Didi at that point. I don't know.
One of the relievers.
Yeah, probably a reliever. That's actually right. That they've got like 10 relievers on their roster right now. You probably cut a reliever and you probably demote Bohm. That's probably how it goes. Because you always have to have 5 outfielders on your team. So, and it's not like we got one of those jack of all trades that can play third base, center field, first base, left field. Because Camargo I think is just infield. So, interesting. It's opening day on my dude. This is great. The lockout couldn't have made things better because I get opening day and the Masters in the same week. It's fantastic. I'm excited. I can't wait. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there for today. Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. I mean, I think Jason. The reason why Jason's broke all the time is because he's got a different Phillies jersey on every single day on the show here. I've only got one and I never wear it. It just stays hanging up right there. My dock will always be hanging there. We're live every day, 8:30 a.m. Make sure you check us out. Following, I'll be back tonight, 9 p.m. with Chris Ebon with a special edition, Ownership and Betting Fairway to Heaven, going over final prep for the Masters. Scotty, stay tuned and locked into DSM Media because in 25 minutes, Scotty Talks NBA will be on. He's got a great episode talking Sixers and the NBA playoffs, which are right around the corner. So make sure you stay locked in to DSM Media all day long. 4 shows on the channel today, starting with me. So stay locked in. Jason, thank you very much today. Make sure you shoot Jason a follow at Mustang3651 and always follow me at Beard of Knowledge. Everybody have a great day. It's 6ers and 5, but you know what? It's 2 days to opening day. It's ring the frickin' bell, baby.
Ring the friggin' bell. Let's go!